Hi, Maggie.
Hello.
So, thank you for agreeing to come and share your experience of Mesmerize. And the first thing I'd really love to hear is there are a lot of programs out there that support conscious entrepreneurs to grow their businesses. So, in your perspective and in your experience, what is unique or different or special even about Mesmerize?
That's a really good question. And I do have memberships of a couple of other programs that I did, before Mesmerize. And I can really feel the difference. And I think it's on multiple levels for me. One of them is energetic. It's just a different energy for Mesmerize. So I know that I'm with people who understand me,
Mm,
understand where I'm coming from. And I think that place of really deep acceptance and exploration is so important and is something that I haven't. It's not that it's not that other places aren't accepting, but they don't draw out. They don't, say, let's go into those deep places that feel vulnerable and tender, where all the power is held. They're
mm,
still at a surface level and a safe level. And somehow you manage to create a space where it is safe to feel a little bit unsafe, for a
mm.
period of time, and to go, yeah, I'm going to take a risk and I'm going to reveal myself more fully and more truly than I would do in other spaces where I'm still worrying about being accepted and being credible
Mm.
for an audience that is often not actually my audience.
Right.
So I think that's a really important part for me for Mesmerize. I think the way in which you support energy management, and you recognize that often when people are highly sensitive, empathic, highly creative, that we do need a different type of container space that allows us to, like, sort of grow into the space rather than being pushed into the space.
Mm.
You get that difference. I hope I'm making that clear. Yeah, it's not the deadline, 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 productivity, productivity, productivity. It's a very different way of working, and it works really well for me. And I have spent years working on time and energy management. I don't know if you know this. I know I've spoken to Louise about it. I'm quite open about it. I had a late diagnosis of dyspraxia, and I spent, so I've had like assessments and support for what do I need in order to organize myself, because it's much more a managing your time and your energy and those sorts of things effectively than dyslexia with the reading. And something in Mesmerize just clicked for me. It was
Mm.
so much more natural and intuitive, the way that it works, and supportive rather than pushing.
Oh, it's so wonderful to hear, Maggie. I'm so glad that that is the experience that you're having. And I'd love to hear about what that has then meant or means for you as you take your magic out into the world. Can you tell us a little bit
Mm.
about that journey out?
Yeah, well, there's been some really important breakthroughs for me, and I think, deepening into my voice. So, for example, I put my about me page up, my newly crafted about me page up, and have people in my groups who will go, "Oh, have you seen Maggie's about me page? It's amazing," and they'll go in and they'll talk about it. And I was like, I've never had that. I've never had that about me page before. That people are actually like telling each other about it, and that built my confidence. And then my blog posts have changed because of that as well. And the way that I write my marketing material has changed too. So that opening with invitation and feeling, and almost like an immersive experience for people before and this course is structured in this way and does this. That invitation for people into my world is, I think, the piece that it's been so important for me in terms of my presence, and yeah, and just thinking about the way I work. So that's been one thing. I think the second thing for me has been feeling very supported in what I now do a lot more. I do quite a small number of blog articles now, and I do a lot more sort of Facebook Lives, which I was really nervous about when I started. But through finding my my voice, and finding that center as well, the sort of the techniques that you teach us to help us to find our center, just through things like on the Monday morning, sacred listening sessions to get you into that place. So I've got that now. I'm like, what do I need to get into center, to trust that it's going to come, not to over prepare, just to have my few points that I want to land and then to respond. And I love doing my Facebook Lives now. I do one every Monday, and I have, I don't know, between like 20 and 30 people come live on a Monday, and I respond to them in the moment. So I do like readings and things for them in the moment. They post what their experience is, what they're doing, and I sort of weave it all in a way that I could never have imagined doing before. And that's been really important, as well as the permission that you are very helpfully give to people to say, this is evolving. Your work is always evolving, your voice is always evolving, rather than it being like, oh, it's got to be perfect and formed and immediately there. So now I'm much more, this isn't quite working, or this could be better, and I change it over time, and I feel okay doing that. I don't feel like, oh no, I've got this structure and I have to set with it. That's been really important for me. Oh, what's the other change? I had one I wanted to say first, and I didn't say it first. I thought I'd do it in order. Now I can't remember what it was that I was going to say. I think really now, I run two businesses, and so I worked on one, and because of the long time that we worked through Mesmerise, I've now started digging into the one that I was actually sort of a little bit harder for me. To move into a space where I have a very high level of professional credibility as being a voice that is okay, but it's not me. I know it's not me, and it's difficult to move out of a space where you feel accepted and that you feel like people know what they're getting, and to actually say, no, I'm bringing something different and something that I think is going to be better for you. So that's what this next phase of Mesmerise for me has started to unlock that now. And it's been that confidence building, over time, to say, okay, how can I start to bring this in a way that feels like an adventure, not unsafe?
Yes.
Yeah. And again, I think that you do that really beautifully. You hold that space really well for us to sort of say, yeah, we've got this safe space. And then what do you want to bring out of your wild voice, of your magnetism, whatever you want to call it? What are you ready to bring out? And to really do that intentionally and consciously. So, when I posted my first piece, I was like, yeah, I'm ready to do that now. And that's coming more. And the feedback that I'm getting is really good, and I'm getting more aligned clients because of it. And it's not always about a piece that I wrote or anything like that. It's more, I can feel it sort of infusing into the way that I present myself and the work that I do. And the networking that I do and things like that. It's starting now. It's all coming together, so it feels very whole to me.
Beautiful. Ian, it's absolutely true. The readiness is so important. The time it takes and knowing it simply does, and that ability that you reference to play and explore and not sure about that, and tweak. I mean, that is the essential entrepreneurial skill, to do that and not make it mean anything about yourself. Yeah,
and that's been important. And I would say from the safe to be seen day that we did, a day was longer than a day, wasn't it?
It was over 2 days. Yeah,
amazing. Was so important for me in doing that deep work inside, to go, okay, what are the parts of me that are trying to hold me into my old way of being, because they know because that feels safe and predictable and sensible. And how can I work with them and not just be like, be quiet? It doesn't work. How can I work with them? And that was a really important piece for me as well, I think, in starting to see all of those different parts of me as collaborators and co-creators in my work, rather than as in conflict with each other.
Yeah, so good. Amazing. And you mentioned quite early on our wonderful Louise, who is
Mhm.
our Making the Magic Happen guide inside Mesmerize. She is my personal productivity mentor. I'm not exaggerating when I say she changed my life, and that's why I brought her into the container of Mesmerize so she could share her beautiful magic
Mm.
with you all. Can you tell us a little bit about what it's like to work with Louise and what her skills and her teachings have made possible?
Oh, it's been it's been amazing for me. I actually went and did I can't remember the name, but I did a short program with Louise in addition to the work that I've done with her through Mesmerise, because I found her work to be so impactful, and she has that ability to bridge the world that I knew, that sort of world of, to-do lists and calendars and all of that sort of stuff. She knows all of that stuff really, really well, but she also knows exactly what the people in Mesmerize need.
Yeah.
And she knows what we need. She knows how to create a space that feels it feels spacious. I'm going to plan. She has a rhythm to the work that doesn't feel forced. The way in which she says, okay, let's break this down and we're going to do the bigger picture, what's coming up on the horizon. And she draws you back and we get into the detail later, so that we've got that real big picture sense of, where am I going? What commitments do I have? And then beautiful reminders that she puts in around, and do you have enough space for you? I'm getting better at not just going, yes, I do. No, because it's so important to do that and to build that in. And I think, I can't describe it really in many ways, because I know some of the tools that she uses. I'm familiar with these tools, I've worked with them before, but the presence that she brings to it and the way that she leads you through the work, so that you don't feel like, oh, I've got to worry about any of the bits. All I need to do is to do what I do best, just think about my content and what I want to do, and Louise is going to hold this great container for me to put all of the bits in,
Yeah.
so that I have a plan for the full month ahead that is achievable. And it's made me much more able to say no, to actually look at stuff and go, no, I'm just being ridiculous here, I'm not going to get that done, which I couldn't, wasn't able to do before. I would often just not do the list, because I'd be like, if I look at the list, then I know there's too much. So realistic, empowering, and prioritizing those things that I know are going to bring out the best in me. So no, instead of, what was it that I did recently? I had a module that I was trying to create, some content that I was trying to create, and I was like, wouldn't work. And I was like, what would Louise say? And so I put myself onto a sound bath, and I went for my sound bath for an hour, and then I sat down in the cafe next to the sound bath and I wrote the entire program. It was done within 45 minutes, and I'd been working on it for about 3 months.
Wow.
It just wouldn't come, because I wasn't giving myself the space to do it. So I think it's all of those things together. She, real, understanding of the tools, but a deeper understanding of her people.
Yeah.
Mm.
Makes
Lovely.
my heart very happy to hear that it's really, really helping and supporting. And I know that in planning in that way and breaking things down, you've recently had a really successful launch, haven't you, of your program?
Yes, I have. I did a pilot of my program last year. It's a year-long program, and I did a pilot last year with about 20 people, and I loved it, and it was brilliant. It's really hard work creating all the content, but I wanted to do my launch again, so I did my launch again this year, and I did a lot more in person. I did far less, here is a blog about stuff. So I ran workshops for people to come and try. And what was amazing was, last time I did 2 workshops, and I had about 11 people at each, and I got everyone signed up from those workshops. It was brilliant. This time round, I thought I'll do 4, and I was just really like, oh, I'll put in event. I did it on Eventbrite. I was like, I'll do it on Eventbrite so that more people will see it than they would if they came to my blog. And you have to say how many people you want to come onto those workshops. And I was like, oh, I don't know. I thought I'll put 40. Obviously, that's ridiculous, but I'll put that in. And the first 2 workshops sold out within 24 hours. The next 2 workshops sold out within 72 hours. And I had to put on an additional 2 additional workshops. So I ended up seeing over 120 people came to those, as a contrasted with what I had before. And so I've doubled the price of the program, and I've got 30 beautiful participants on the program who've just started, all highly engaged, in much fewer people who didn't have that resonance with me, and a lot more people on my mailing list as well. And I've grown my mailing list from, what was it this time last year? I was just under 100. Now I'm just over 600 now. So no, it's increasing all the time. So yeah.
Absolutely wonderful, Maggie. I love hearing about both the inner experience and how you have this experience of feeling almost simultaneously unsafe and safe, and finding your ways to let it be an adventure, and then the impact of that out in the world, of doubling your prices, of having so many more people both interested in your work, engaged in your work, and it being really aligned people that you love working with, because that is the difference that makes the difference.
It does, and it makes it so much more valuable for everybody who's in, the group, when they're like, oh, they can feel the energy of everybody else in the group together. It's just the way that I want to work, and it's who I want to work with.
Yeah, absolutely beautiful. Well, thank you so much for sharing your heart with me, with all those watching, and with your lucky clients.
Thank you, Kate.